Hey everybody, believe it or not, but we are moving into a whole new month once again. It is March, spring, it's right around the corner. And as we enter into a new month, it also means that we're about to explore a whole new permaculture principle. And so our principle for for March that we're going to be exploring all month is design from patterns to details. Remember again that permaculture tells us when we go into a project, when we go onto a piece of land, or we want to make a change in our life, that we want to first observe the patterns. If we're looking at a landscape, it's the patterns are about where does the cycle of the sun and the shadows move around the property? Where is there water? Where are there dry spots? What are the basic patterns that are moving over the landscape regularly? And then once you see that, then you can start to plan, okay, these things go really well in the shade. These things go really well in a dry area. These things go really well in a more damp area. But I want us to think about this also in making change in our lives, shifting our consciousness, changing the world, right? That when we look out there, there's all of the details, there's all the little things, there's all of the specifics that we see, oh, that's wrong, that needs to change, I have to shift that. But permaculture design theory tells us to look at the patterns first. What are the patterns happening in thought? What are the patterns happening in the environment or in the culture? What are the stories, the myths, the sort of bigger ideological things that are happening that then trickle down into the minute details? And, as I always say, these principles tie really well into our spiritual practice, into our cultivating of our mental awareness, because everyday life is always going to throw at us the little details, the things, big or small, that are really going to take our attention. And yet, spiritual practice, science of mind, metaphysics, is always about cultivating patterns of consciousness, patterns of thought, so that when we are in a pattern of oneness, or we're looking for a pattern of interconnectedness, or a pattern of compassion, those patterns of thinking and being then show up in the little details, in the individual experiences. When we focus on the bigger meta ideas, that helps inform all the way down. And so all month, we're going to be talking about and exploring this idea of designing, cultivating, looking to the bigger patterns, and then bringing that down into the details of our individual life for the specific changes that we see we need to make. And I also want you to pay attention this month because we have a lot of really exciting things coming up here at the center, and really a number of things happening on the next number of Saturdays. And so really quickly, I just want to give you a little commercial that on March 19th, we're planning a spiritual mind treatment workshop. Again, spiritual mind treatment gives it that 5-step pattern that of thinking, of thought, that we call affirmative prayer, that then you get to fill in with the details of your specific prayer, or of your particular way of seeing the universe. We're also on March 26th going to have a book signing and presentation by one of our newest members, Molly Salins, who has recently written a book called A Break in the Fog. And she is going to tell us a little bit about her story and about how this came through her and her spiritual journey. And then on April 2nd, we have our installation, not only for me, but also for Reverend Grace and for Reverend Tamara. And we are going to be installing Chaplain Cheryl and reinvigorating our practitioners and really building a pattern, if you will, of excitement and newness and installing it into our community. And so just pay attention, because there's a lot of interesting and exciting things that are going to be happening here in the next number of weeks. And we are moving into our springtime of possibility here very soon. And I have a feeling that a whole lot is going to start bubbling up in the next number of weeks and months for us individually and as a community collectively. So, my friends, this month, design from patterns to details. This is going to be what we're talking about. We're going to be taking this in a number of different directions. I hope you're having the best week possible. Know that I am in prayer and in love with you all the time. I'll see you soon.